A long time ago, before streetlights washed out the stars and before people stopped listening to their elders, there was a small village tucked between the hills and the sea. It was a quiet place, full of warm breezes, fresh river water, and coconut trees swaying lazily in the sun. But not all coconut trees were good trees. Some trees had stories tied to them, stories that made even the bravest men shiver when they passed by at night. One such tree stood in the middle of Miss Maud's land, a massive, towering coconut tree, older than anyone in the village could remember. Its trunk was thick, with scars that looked like claw marks, and its leaves rustled even when the air was still. The villagers always whispered about that tree, but Miss Maud never paid them any mind. She had lived on that land since she was a girl, and as far as she was concerned, the tree was just a tree. But there was one problem. People kept disappearing under the coconut tree. The first to go missing was Miss Maud's own husband. One evening, she sent him out to pick a few jelly coconuts before nightfall. He never came back. They searched for him high and low. The only thing they found was his hat and his cutlass, lying neatly under the tree, as if he had just set them down and vanished into thin air. Then there was little Jerry, a bright-eyed boy who loved playing marbles near the tree. His mother had warned him to stay away from it, but children are children, and curiosity always wins. One evening, just as the sun dipped below the hills, Jerry ran toward the tree to fetch a marble that had rolled too far. His mother heard a single, sharp scream. By the time she got outside, all she found were the marbles scattered in the dirt. Not a trace of Jerry. People started avoiding the tree altogether. Nobody wanted to be next. They would cross the road just to keep a distance, and at night, nobody dared to look in its direction. Some whispered that the tree was cursed, others said that a duppy lived in its roots. The old folks swore that the tree fed on people, swallowing them into the earth like a hungry beast. Then came Old Man Duke. Duke was the kind of man who never feared anything. He had lived through hurricanes, machete fights, and even a cow that kicked like the devil himself. When he heard the stories about the coconut tree, he laughed so hard that his belly shook like a drum. "Me day ya before any duppy born," he said. "Me chop down bigger tree than dis. Me a go cut it down, and that will be the end of dis foolishness." The villagers begged him not to do it. They told him that the tree was not normal, that too many people had vanished under its shade. But Duke was a stubborn old man, and once he made up his mind, there was no changing it. So one night, when the moon was full and the sky was clear, Duke grabbed his machete and marched toward the tree. The villagers, too scared to stop him but too curious to stay home, followed at a distance. They wanted to see for themselves if Duke was truly as brave as he claimed. Duke stood before the tree, looking up at its massive trunk. He spat on his hands, tightened his grip on the machete, and swung with all his might. The blade bounced off. Duke frowned. HMPH must be tougher than me think. He swung again. This time, the machete stuck in the bark for a moment, but then the tree did something that made everyone's blood run cold. It moved, not just a little sway in the wind. The roots groaned and the ground trembled beneath Duke's feet. The villagers gasped and stepped back, but Duke was not afraid. "Me not care if you move or not," he muttered. "Me still a cut you down." He raised the machete for a third strike, but before he could swing, the ground beneath him opened up. One moment, he was standing there, full of pride and determination. The next, he was gone, swallowed by the earth. The villagers screamed. They ran toward the spot where he had stood, but there was nothing left. No hole, no disturbed soil, just the same thick, twisted roots of the coconut tree. And then, as they watched in horror, the tree began to shake violently. Coconuts rained down, cracking open as they hit the ground. But what spilled out was not coconut water. It was blood, dark, thick, and reeking of something foul. It seeped into the earth and stained the roots of the tree. One woman fainted. A child started wailing. And then a sound filled the air, a deep, guttural laugh. It came from the tree itself. The villagers ran. Nobody looked back. Nobody spoke of what they had seen. From that night, no one ever went near the coconut tree again. Miss Maud packed up and left, abandoning her land, letting the tree claim it. The village slowly forgot about it, letting it stand in silence, its roots fed by those who had vanished beneath its shade. But sometimes, late at night, if you're passing by the old land, you might hear something. A whisper in the wind, a rustling of leaves when there's no breeze. Some say the tree still watches, waiting. And if you're foolish enough to stand beneath its branches at night, you might feel the ground shift beneath your feet. You might hear a deep chuckle from the shadows. And then you might never be seen again. Be careful where you rest when the sun goes down. Not all shade is safe. Some trees don't need water to grow. Some trees feed on something else. And who feels it knows it.